Good morning. You're listening to My Rapids Real Estate Show on AM 1320 WFHR, your weekly radio show focusing on real estate, the market, and everything related to housing in central Wisconsin. Welcome back. I'm Ben.
And I'm Carrie.
And you are an agent with Coldwell Banker Seward Realtors here in Wisconsin Rapids, and I am your licensed assistant.
Yes, that is correct.
So this is a big day. It's a big move forward for us. We've been podcasting, trying to bring central Wisconsin a little voice of real estate for the last couple of years.
I think it's 2 years.
Yep. We're
just shy of 2 years or just a little bit over?
Well over 60 episodes.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So it's pretty good. And today we move into on-air radio.
We do.
So this will be Sunday, February 21st. We pre-recorded the shows to keep in line with our podcasting tradition.
Mm-hmm.
So Sunday the 21st, WFHR AM 1320.
And I'm really hoping that it's at least 20 degrees outside because it is currently -5 below.
Yeah, it's a few days ahead of the air date.
Yeah.
It's supposed to warm up. We're supposed to be pretty good.
Well, let's hope so.
We can't be any colder than we have been the last couple weeks.
Oh no. It can always get colder. We've seen it get colder, so
it was so cold. We were pretty near the point where Celsius and Fahrenheit are the same.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty close to that.
I mean, remember back a couple of years ago, we had the -65 degrees. I mean, it was cold.
Yep. That was pretty much the last couple of weeks, as all of our listeners have just gone through.
Yes.
And hopefully survived.
Yes.
So to give sort of a background, if you haven't followed us and haven't listened to the podcast, we're going to spend some time and talk about the local area, how it relates to housing. We're going to talk about how to run through some simple parts of the transaction for buying and selling. Hopefully provide some educational portions to that. We're going to look at the market here in the central Wisconsin area and nationally a little bit as well, because they both kind of play into each other.
They do.
So we'll get some reports through the National Association of Realtors, WRA, which is Wisconsin Association, and there's a lot of good industry blogs that we're going to pull from, as well as local knowledge. So we hope to have some guests coming on to the upcoming weeks and bring some specific knowledge to the show.
Mm-hmm. It'll be a fun time.
So here in hour one, we're going to go talk about what had happened in the last week and talk to our guest, which today I really wanted for our first on-air broadcast to be about you and yourself and your real estate history. Get to know a little bit more about, Carrie Nicolai.
All right.
And then what are we going to finish up with on hour one?
It looks like we're going to have some upcoming projects.
Right.
So again, what are we doing as far as our house? We just recently purchased a new home to us. I don't want to say it's a new home because it's not new construction, but it's new to us.
Like you say, it's gently used.
She's a gently used home. And, we do appreciate the homeowner who was here. We're the second homeowner for this particular property. And we're just grateful that they did such a great job of building the home. But now it's ready for those updates. So throughout, I want to say the next 10 plus years, we're going to be doing some updates to the house.
Well, it seems like we're doing a whole lot of updates pretty quick here to make it a lot more of what we're used to and what we find has worked for our lifestyle.
Yes. We needed those quick little bit of fixes that we needed to do. We'll get into some of those projects a little bit later on in the show.
Exactly. And then in hour two, stick with us because we'll be back talking about the market update for our area. We're going to kind of go into where homes are selling, price points, and some of those instances, just where are the market levels here in the Wisconsin Rapids area.
Right. We're going to be looking at the availability in 3 different price ranges. So that way, listeners, you get a chance to kind of hear when we talk about what a low inventory for the housing market is. We'll kind of explain that it's just a little bit more in detail on the next hour.
And then we'll be talking about some community events coming up. If we have open houses, sometimes we will, sometimes we won't. Perhaps some open houses throughout the office too, because we are always experiencing new houses coming onto the market. So we want to give you guys a heads up on that. Perhaps where we have dined, eaten out, or enjoyed coffee throughout the area.
Ooh, I love my coffee
Yeah.
and pie.
And then we'll, like I said, touch on some of the staged, styled, and sold blogs from the National Association of Realtors.
This sounds like a really fun second hour.
Of course, definitely come back.
All right.
So, Carrie, what have we done in this last week?
Well, in this last week, we like we said, we bought a new to us home. And the one thing that I really enjoyed having was in our laundry room to have a cleanable surface for the floor.
So, when we purchased this house back in October, it was a 1963 ranch, a quintessential ranch house built in the 60s.
Yep.
And what they had done in the basement was finished off half of the basement with walls, ceiling, carpeting, and the unfinished portion is the mechanical room with the laundry. Now, they had, throughout the years, put some paint on the wall and paint on the floor, but paint from 20 years ago or 30 years ago, it gets used and it gets, it's sloughed off, and it's just life of paint that's on floors. So we went with repainting the wall. And what do we do to the floor?
Well, I put in the flooring tile. So it's just the basic peel and stick. So my always concern is when you're taking out the laundry and it's just on a regular basement floor that is painted a very nice brown. You just can't tell where the dirt is. So when something hits the floor, you're not sure if you should go with that 30-second rule or if you just rewash the whole entire thing because you're just not sure what it really touched. And so we always, in the last house, we did the peel and stick flooring, which goes down pretty quick. In a couple hours, you can get a decent size chunk done. And so that's what we did. We put in the peel and stick flooring. We got a nice little marble pattern. It looks really, it's a calming gray marble.
Yeah, we didn't go way top of the line with the with the cost. We went kind of middle ground.
Yeah. It
So
was just a really nice tile. So with the floor tile, so the peel and stick floor tile, there is always 3 different types that you can go with. And we had 2 different types at the last house, and the one we did before, it could have been grouted. So it was almost to that point where it was a tile, and that one took the wear and tear so great. It was awesome. You could drop stuff on that sucker and it wouldn't chip. But in this place, we have a lot of special cuts that we need to do, and that tile was a little bit harder to cut. Almost needed a special tool, and not that I'm saying I don't like buying a tool.
oh, come on, we love buying tools.
I know, especially if I can buy something that's, kind of fun to use. But it was just more the tool that we had to get would not been able to do the curves that needs to be done on this particular project. So going with a tile that's a little bit easier to cut, but is also going to be able to take the wear and tear that that room is going to have.
And I think the traffic that we're going to have through the utility area of the basement here is just foot traffic, really. In the more living portion, we're going to have rolly chairs and moving cabinets around and things like that. So we're going to do a different product on this floor on this side.
Well, the other side of the wall where the family area is, we're going to go with something that's going to have that a little bit more of the insulation because the floor is cold.
Well, it's
And
concrete.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's cold. So with having family down here and this is our forever home, so we're looking at grandchildren too, having something that's going to be a little bit warmer is going to be more beneficial. So right now we're working with our laundry room, our utility room. So that should probably take me at least maybe a good month to do, I think, because we've got to paint the walls and then put in the tile. And when we moved in, we knew we were going to have to change it. So we didn't really unpack. We just have everything still in the boxes. So we have to move the boxes from one side of the room to the other side and then back again.
I think there's some storage solutions that we're going to have to sort out as well. the shelving that was wood and nailed to the concrete walls, the concrete block, just isn't going to fit what we're looking to do. And so we're going to take that down and paint behind it and put up something a little bit more modern.
Yeah. So we're gonna be looking at doing just a few things, and I posted pictures. We're gonna have some pictures posted on our Facebook page. So definitely go take a look at our before and after shots of the utility room.
Sounds good. The best way to keep up with our projects is to go to our social media accounts. Facebook and Instagram are the two most popular at the moment still. Um, I'm going to dabble in some other ones. I don't think I'll get into the TikTok, though. That doesn't seem to jive with what we want to do with our business.
No, not
No,
at all.
no, you're not very much a TikToker, are you, Carrie?
No, I'm not.
Check us out on the social media. And then if you want to find out more about or get in contact with us easily, head over to myrapids.com. That'll take us right to our business page over at Coldwell Banker Seward website. And instead of having to remember Carrie.Nicolai at ColdwellBankerSeward.com, you can just go to myrapids.com. And if you're looking for area info, head over to myrapids.info. Now, one of the things that I really want to do with the show is get, people involved and our listeners involved, especially when we have guests. So please feel free to email us questions at myrapidsradio@gmail.com. Set up a specific Gmail account just for the radio questions, and we can help you out. I'm going to monitor that all the time. It'll come right jingling to my phone. It'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, sounds really awesome.
So myrapidsradio@gmail.com to send us your questions, and we'll try to answer those on the air in the following week, and maybe post some stuff to the guests that we have along as well.
Excellent. That sounds like really, really great. Great ideas.
So, Carrie, let's get to know a little bit more about you.
Okay.
How long have you been in real estate?
I am going on 4 years right now.
Yeah, it's been kind of a wild ride.
It's been very interesting.
Along the way, I came on board in 2019, so that's going on 2.5 years, I believe,
Yes.
something like that. And I'm licensed as well,
Mm-hmm.
so you get the both of us.
Well, and the great thing about having you involved as well and being licensed is so that way, if we get into those busier season where we've got two families who want to go see two different homes and two different parts of the town, we can really divide and conquer. You can take a family to go take a look at a home, and I can take another family and we can be in two different places at one time, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, or if something comes up in life and you need to take care of it, I can go on showings and I can write contracts and take care of the business end of things.
Mhm. And you've done a great job of taking care of, the behind the scenes stuff. Once we get contracts, you get them. I am not the tech savvy person. Everyone knows that. Just getting everything into the computer system so that way everything stays on track and able to be followed along.
A lot of time, two heads are better than one with some things. We'll each catch the stuff that the other person misses on contracts or creative thinking on how to negotiate through a contract process. Maybe things will come up in a home inspection or just randomly throughout the series of the contract.
Mhm.
Been pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a little bit of your background. Tell us about yourself. Where'd you start? Um, you've lived here in the area for quite some time.
Pretty much all my life, I'm gonna say. So I grew up down in Nakusa, so hometown of Nakusa, go paper makers, and grew up down there and moved to Wisconsin Rapids shortly after high school, and was a stay-at-home mom with my two wonderful children. And from there, I went to
You went to college
oh yeah, that's right. I did go to college
a couple times.
a few times.
Okay, so where was the first one?
Okay, so the first one was over at Mid-State Technical College for early childhood education. So I got my early childhood education done, and I can write my letters. My number's pretty cool. So it was kind of fun. It was fun taking a handwriting class.
So you're used to working with children.
Children.
Okay.
So then I stayed home with my kids for a little bit. And, through the events of life, I ended up with a second chance to go back to college and do another tour of college. And so took my employer up on that and went to culinary school
Culinary school to be a chef.
to be a chef.
Now, any particular type of chef or just general restaurateur?
It's just a general restaurateur. With this particular degree, I went to Appleton over to Fox Valley Tech and got went through their program. So took my accredited course. So I am a certified ACF chef. So that's pretty cool. And hung out in the culinary world for a good 15 years. I think it's been 15 years.
Yeah, my goodness, since about 2005.
Yeah,
15 or 16. It's been a long time.
it has. So hung out there for a little while and made some excellent food and some great connections.
Now,
Mm.
connections, and were you a chef across the country or here locally?
Just here locally. So I stayed over at the Hotel Mead for quite a few years and then did I did a little bit over at Bullseye Country Club. So kind of in between the hotel and Bullseye, I did a little bit. I went back to my roots of childcare and did a couple years in 4K. So it was kind of fun up in Stevens Point. So I kind of stayed kind of close to home with some things I knew.
Very good.
Yeah.
So, a pretty diverse background.
Yep.
Now, how are you relating that to real estate?
So with relating that to real estate, getting transferred from a chef and then switching completely different directions into real estate, I met J.R. Seward and we started talking at a private event that I was catering. And he looked at me, he goes, I think we need to talk. I think just give me a call. We need to talk. So went in and talked with him and he's like, yep. He goes, I think you should be good with this. Come work for me. And the rest is pretty much history.
JR is just one of the most genuine people I've met. He's caring and he'll just put it out there. I don't want to say in a childlike, but in very genuine, a very innocent manner. I mean, the guy is very smart. It's one of the things that I really enjoy working with Coldwell Banker Seward.
I do. It's a family owned operation and they definitely put family first. Anytime in the last 4 years we've had a situation with our kids where our youngest went off to college. We'll just use him as an example. You know, he went off to college. He was having a rough day and he wasn't feeling the best. And so needed to take a couple days off to go help take care of him because he was not in good shape. He was quite sick. And right away JR automatically just did you need to be with family. Family is first in this business. You make sure you take care of your own. So went off and took care of Matt and you were able to stay home and take care of the business and make sure that everything was all going smoothly. So it was a great opportunity.
Almost like we had planned it.
I know.
Although
Well,
never,
not the sick
but
part.
not the sick part.
Yeah.
No, that was actually pretty bad.
Yeah, he was down for a week. I mean, he was a sick little kid.
But this was a while ago, a few years.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with the current pandemic. Thank
No,
goodness.
no.
Well, Jerry has been great with that too. His focus has always been the safety of us as agents and the clients that we service and customers that we help along the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's been great. The longevity as well. Now, family owned over 85 years. And even when senior comes into the office, he's still smart and bubbly.
Oh yes.
A couple times we ask him some real estate questions and
He's sharp as a tack. He still has it and he'll still answer all the questions.
in his 90s
Yes,
can only be so blessed.
I know.
Oh, that's great. Let's see. Back in 2019, I came on board. And now we've been married for a few years. We got married back in 2012. And we met each other along the way, both working at the Hotel Mead. And I'd been at the hotel taking care of the front office and maintenance crew and more of that end. And you were doing culinary. So I had one end of the staff and you had all the rest of the staff. And it started working out pretty good. I think that's one of the things that we really bring into the real estate realm is the working together, and we've been working together since, oh goodness, 2006, 2007 over at the hotel.
Somewhere in there.
I started, I believe, a month before you did in 2005.
Yeah.
So along the way, and you grew up into the management sector, and so did I. So managing employees and having to, at least on my side, I was doing a lot of contract management because with managing the facilities portion of it, it was more than just like the front desk and the housekeeping staff. It was also, okay, now we need to get chemicals for the laundry. I need to go and price out chemicals and then take specific contracts because of the amount of chemicals that we're using, et cetera, et cetera. Or managing the pool. So the housekeeping cleanliness and the pool cleanliness, it kind of all goes hand in hand with that. So it's been quite a good ride. When I was at the hotel, I was also doing the information technology portion, so that's why I'm a little bit more better with the technology than you are some days,
I think the technology just doesn't like me.
and that's okay. I'm here to help. It's really neat. Um, this last year with the pandemic rolling through really helped us focus our technology that we had been doing anyway. The podcasting and getting these sort of supplemental social things underway and out to our customers and clients to get the news out there. Going live on Facebook and producing videos and getting all the excellent photos and 3D tours of our properties, stuff we were doing anyway. Now it just came to the forefront. Wow. People need the technology to get into the homes. So it's not just, hey, let's go on tour and let's tour 20 houses today. But it's not that anymore. You're looking online and really focusing down, and then we go see the one or two that you really want to possibly see yourself in and write an offer on.
Right. And with the low inventory that we have, it's I wanna take a look at these 3 homes, and by the time that we get to getting all the showing set up, maybe we're only really looking at 1, because the other 2 already are underneath contract as fast as these homes are flying off the shelf. So it all really depends, and really doing the 360 walkthrough, and that way you can go online. I love how you do the 360 tour because you can take a look at the countertop, you can look at the flooring, you can look at the crack that's in the ceiling, you can look at everything. So that's a really huge added bonus of what you do to all of our all of our listings that we have.
Well, the 360 tour, I think, really helps people uh, enjoy the space and understand how space is tied together. The pictures can only show so much.
Mhm.
They're only one perspective, one viewpoint, and a lot of times a good photographer will take advantage of the best parts of each viewpoint, and you know, sometimes you just can't get everything into a shot, and so you strategically miss the you know crack in the trim that's right next to whatever part of something, as an example.
Right. We've also, I mean, a lot of our sellers, once they've seen that, they're like, "I didn't notice that crack there, or I didn't notice that transition the way that it is," because they're in the house all the time. So it's something that you may not notice, but then when you're looking at it in a completely different view, it's like, "Wow, I didn't really know that the technology's here to be able to look at our countertop in that way, or the doors." They're like, "Okay, this is really cool. I am so glad. I wish they had this when we were looking for a home, so that way we didn't have to go look at 10 to find the one that we wanted because the flow didn't work well for us."
My favorite one is really the layout part of it. I did an assignment today for another agent in our office, and it's a 5 bedroom house, but the main primary bedroom was on the first floor, the ground level. Two of the bedrooms were on the opposite side of the house on the ground level, and then the other two bedrooms were in the basement lower level. So if I just had general standard photography, you might not understand exactly where all the bedrooms are in relationship to themselves. So that I think that's the biggest challenge that the 360 overcomes, and you can just spend as much time as you want clicking through the house. So if you want to spend a half hour trying to figure out where things are and how you might put your furniture in it and things like that. You can actually go through and just be in the space before you even get there.
Right. Which is kind of cool. I think it's a really, really nice asset that we have.
And of course, I do enjoy that I'm one of the few drone photographers who is FAA licensed and insured. So you know that I'm making that concerted effort to be a good steward of the airspace and do everything right and by the book. I kind of pride myself on that. So we actually just upgraded our drone, get a little bit better photography and some video just about a month ago. So once the temperatures warm up, I'll get out flying again.
That's good.
These negative temperatures are just horrible.
Yes, it is.
So even though I enjoy technology, the hands-on portion of real estate is something that you really enjoy, like being taking your hobbies and your crafts and putting that into like our closing gifts.
And I always keep telling people, we come from a long line of crafters. We're a crafty family
Crafty Carrie.
because we're looking, going through homes and they've got the homemade quilts and everyone's like, oh, that's got to be so hard to do. I already do quilting, or I find out that the buyer is looking for a quilting group to become part of as they're moving to the Rapids area. I'm like, oh, well, I'm already part of a quilting group. Be happy to help you get it connected with them. And they're like, oh my gosh, you quilt. So then we spend a couple minutes talking about quilting and what they're into as far as their type of quilting, because there's different types. So we always get to spend a little bit of time. And then when we get to our closing table, it's always a little bit more fun because we always, like you said, we try to take all of our crafts and our hobbies and kind of put it into all of our work. So we make we make a very beautiful little handmade basket. We changed it up this year, didn't we? We added in the blue.
We added some colors, yeah. But one of the things I really liked about Coldwell Banker is colors. It's what I'm used to.
Hmm.
Um, I went to school at Assumption, so royal blue.
Yep.
Yep. Then along the way, my motorcycle training, a lot of that was through the DOT and the state of Wisconsin and the state patrol aspect of it. So state patrol blue. Now we got Coldwell Banker blue.
Yep.
So
So every once in a while, as we go on showings, you'll notice my hands are a little bit on the blue side. It's not because I'm that cold. It's just probably because I've been playing with some reed and I've been dyeing some colors, and I sometimes get my hands dyed very blue.
you still don't like the temperature though.
No, I don't.
This cold weather is not good for us.
No. But it's kind of fun going to a showing and you're trying to, you're opening up cupboard doors and your hands are slightly, or the tips are blue, and you have to explain to everyone what you just got done doing. And even this weekend, so last Sunday, we was too cold to play in the basement, so made up 3 more baskets, and the fingertips were blue because we're working with the blue dyed reed, and it stains everything just a little bit. But once we seal it, it does not stain after that. Then once it's got that seal coat on there, you can set it on anything and it won't turn it blue. But prior to that,
So I think it's really cool. One of the other things we put in our closing baskets is jelly.
it is. We have this fabulous blueberry lime jelly that we make.
And we, it's a secret family recipe, but it's really not.
No,
So
because we give it away.
we give it away. And that's something that really ties into your background with being, the culinary aspect.
Well, it kind of ties though into our background because this is the same blueberry lime jelly that we gave away as a party favor at our wedding. So when we got married, I made all the party favors. So everybody walked away with these little tiny 4-ounce jars of jelly. And we had 3 different kinds. And everybody just loved the blueberry lime.
So here's a pro tip from us who have been in hospitality and been through many, many weddings. You want to save money? Make some stuff yourself.
Yes.
The party favors yourself, the table decorations yourself.
And if you do something different, like hand out jars of jelly to everyone, years afterwards, they will still be talking about the jelly.
Although I hope you eat the jelly sooner than years later.
We didn't have much jelly left over.
No, we didn't. It was pretty good. There was one time where it didn't set up, it didn't coagulate so well. So it was a little bit more syrupy, a little bit more runny.
but it was great for ice cream and cheesecake
That was great for ice cream. Yeah,
and cheesecake.
yeah.
So
If you like those sort of things.
there are options, and even on our recipe card, we even put on there if it doesn't set up, no worries, it still can be eaten for ice cream.
And then we take that, we give them the recipe at closing,
Mhm.
and a touch point. We want to keep our contact, keep top of mind with the people who we've worked with, because everybody knows everybody else, and hopefully we'll be your go-to real estate team. And you want to think, hey, Carrie and Ben, they can help you with your real estate. You want to buy or sell? Yeah, give Carrie a call. And so we'll keep the recipes. We'll keep them coming.
We do. And the great thing is we've helped out several family members. So we may have helped out the brother first, and then they got used to all of our treats that we send out to all of our past buyers and sellers. And then when their sister or brother start looking for a home, or their parents start looking for a home, their first thought is, you got to give Ben and Carrie a call because they give us things. We get treats throughout the year. So one thing all of our clients look forward to is the cookies at Christmas. So every year we make at least 4 different types of cookies
For everybody that we've ever worked with,
for everyone that we worked with for that particular year. Because otherwise I would have to probably just be baking like for a whole entire month.
yeah, 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 you would have had to have started like before Halloween and just gone all the way through Thanksgiving.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we try to figure out. So the first year we tried to figure out this whole entire what to do at Christmas time. So when you first start in real estate, you get to, depending upon when you start, there's always, what do you do at Christmas time? Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, what do you do? Do you do something for Thanksgiving, or you do something for Christmas? So we kind of picked Christmas. And so talking with JR about, a really good touch point that people are going to remember. And he knew about my culinary background. And I'm like, well, what if I just make them cookies? I'll just make them 4 different types of cookies, and I'll just go around and I will give them a half a dozen of each cookie, and we'll do that. Well, he started to sit down and started figuring out the math for me of how many cookies I would actually need to make based upon his numbers at that particular time.
And it come to find out, the subsequent years we've been running easily 30 transactions a year. So figure
And then on top of
one
it,
or two for each transaction.
right. So we also do our vendors too. So all of our lenders that we work with, our home inspectors, everybody gets them.
Because sometimes they have to put up with some really weird situations. Sometimes the contracts go a little sideways.
Sometimes maybe someone's a little bit crabbier on one end or the other. So this is kind of like a smooth the deal out type of situation. But I mean, we do appreciate our vendors just because we give them phone calls late at night. We send them emails, and they have been super great to work with. And so they deserve it. They do. They deserve their pat on the back.
And sometimes we have them out and working when it's negative 30 degrees, because you need a home inspection, you need a well or a septic inspection. We're going to say, hey, please, bat our eyes. And then, at Christmas time, we'll think of them with some cookies.
Yep. So we kind of came up with, Jer had suggested that maybe I would just stick to one, because he figured out that I would need to make, close to 60 dozen cookies. And he thought that was just a little bit too much at that particular time. So he suggested only do one per year. And so I started off with doing 4 per year. And really with the background, I mean, it's really, JR is just always really amazed that I can pull this off, because he gets the cookies every year, and he's just amazed of the cookies I come up with. And he's like, and you did this for everybody? I'm like, yep. It was only like 56 dozen to make this year.
And really, that sounds like a lot. It's not.
It really isn't.
I mean, you understand how many dozen goes into a batch, and you just start baking, and it actually goes pretty fast.
It does. And we do a test batch every year. So usually come about October, end of October, beginning of November, I start doing the test batches. So I'll find the recipe and I'll make that cookie of just a plain single batch and try to figure out how many are going to be in each one to how many times we have to make it.
And sometimes those test batches don't come out very well.
And then we just nix the cookie to begin with and we move on to the next one.
Yeah, but I'm usually your guinea pig.
I know, but we have an office this time
That's true. Yeah.
and we feed the office.
And all the other great agents that we work with, we appreciate you as well.
Yes.
Even with the crazy science projects that sometimes come up with the cookies.
They even get the samples of the jellies. So
Mhm.
they get everything.
Really, that one year that it didn't set up and we were so sad, but then so overjoyed that it went on like the cheesecake and the ice creams very, very well.
Yeah. So yeah, we make sure we take care of our clients and we take care of our vendors too to make sure that everybody gets a little bit of something. So then you're wondering, well, what do we do with all of the other people that we've had?
Hey, Carrie, what do we do with all the previous clients that we've had?
So the previous clients, they just then get the recipes. So we send them a thank you card. We send them a Christmas card. We send them the recipes and we go, and this is what we made this year. So that way they get an opportunity. They can still get the recipes and they can make the cookies and they know if it's coming from me that it's got to be a pretty awesome cookie to go eat.
So, Carrie from Coldwell Bankers Recipe Cookbook.
We're not quite there yet.
Not quite there. No, we're working our way towards it though.
We are. We are.
Now, one of the reasons why this works so well for our area is that we're pretty laid back here in central Wisconsin. I mean, we're not as affluent over the entire portion as like some of the bigger areas, Madison or Milwaukee, Chicago. And we have, however, a lot of secondary homes, and we see those people come up from Chicago and uh, put in a secondary house up here, because we're up north.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they really appreciate that, more of a personable hometown feel to our closing gifts.
They do. And it's kind of interesting because then they'll go back home to their agent and do well, this is what they did for me up there. Are you going to do the same thing?
Well, maybe they just give them a set of knives.
Could be.
Those are always fun at our the expo center, going through all the closing gift opportunities. And it's really just a little something. It's not supposed to be anything financially um, enormous because that's not the purpose of it. It's just to stay top of mind with our clients.
Yeah, just a little thank you for working with us, and we always enjoy all of our clients that we have. It's always been a great time.
And then as another kind of giveaway or takeaway when we do other expos, like the home show used to be or the wedding expo,
Mm-hmm.
you have calendars with recipe cards on them.
Yep. So again, just trying to take the real estate and tie it into things that we know.
One of the reasons why we also do this is we understand you're only going to be making such a big investment in your house a few times in your life. And so maybe we don't help you through a transaction for another 8 or 10 years, but you're always going to be cooking in your house.
Right.
I mean, there's so much more to enjoy while being a homeowner than just buying and selling it. And along the way, you're building equity, and we'll try to help you out with some easy ways to build equity. Painting and redoing some flooring. So projects like that.
Yeah, we always talk about when we take a buyer through the house, whether this is your first time buying a home, the second, the third, the 15th. We always like to ask those questions about what are the plans in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5. Do you ever expect to have 15 people in this house, depending upon the size? So that way they get the idea of, maybe this kitchen is a little too small because I know that if I've got to have it's my turn for Thanksgiving. Is this really going to hold me, my sister, and my mom all trying to cook? Or is the basement going to be big enough to hold the 30 people for the swim meet, for the pre-meal for the swim meet? Is it going to be big enough? Or do we just need to make sure that we always get the Easter or the 4th of July so that way we can be outside.
Or having all of our friends come over for Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, yes, the Dungeons and Dragons.
That was an awesome selling point, that one house.
It was. So, just are you gonna have that backyard oasis? Are you gonna be able to have that opportunity? Is there gonna be a possibility for that in the backyard just to try to get our buyers and sellers just thinking forward of this is my here and now of what I need, but things may change. Do I need that home office? Am I going to need that place in the backyard to store the extra motorcycles?
Or do you want a space that you can get outdoors so that you're away from the home office? You know, I think a lot more people have been finding the house that they thought was good for them now through a whole change in economic situation just isn't. They're at home more. They need more of a division of space. Maybe they have too large of a house. A whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of, going and seeing the houses and kind of talking of, well, what if? We always like to throw out the what if question. Well, what if you got a third dog? Is the house going to be big enough to handle the large husky that you are now bringing home?
Oh, huskies are so cool though. They're a lot of work.
They are. They are adorable.
We're not getting a husky.
No, we're not. We're getting a German Shepherd.
No, we're sticking with cats.
That's true. So, it's just, what are we need you to be thinking of, the here and now. This is going to solve your immediate needs. But what about in 3 years when the kids do go off to college? Is this going to be too big of a home for you?
Or what projects are you able to take on? What's your comfort level with taking on projects? Some people are just comfortable with cleaning the floor and the bathtub. Other people are, in that next level up where they can paint, or they're comfortable having someone come in and redo the floors, put new carpet or refinish the floors, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other people who are very much more handy and they can move walls. They're okay with tackling those projects or the budget of finding a contractor to do that. And we can help with that too.
Yeah. We got a long list of people who we enjoy working with that we know that you'll be enjoy working with.
So if you have ideas for projects, go ahead, shoot them an email over to us. Our email for the radio show is myrapidsradio@gmail.com.
Very cool.
And if you're looking for houses, head on over to myrapids.com. And it's a quick inventory of houses that are for sale in the area. So that's always being updated. Our feed is right from the multiple listing service.
So one of the things that we did over the weekend too is we had to purchase a air filter for our furnace. Now we had to get a special air filter from my understanding. So I am not that all tech savvy of, what kind of furnace filter we are supposed to get, but I know that there's a large variety of filters.
Yeah, it's kind of daunting when you walk into the home center and there's an entire wall filled with possible choices for furnace filters.
Now, our last furnace, which was super old, it had we had to roll it out and put it into some sort of cage and stick it into the furnace. I mean, it was an older furnace. It was a fuel oil burning furnace.
Yep.
So totally different than what I grew up with, where it was the little cardboard, where it had the little corrugated white. It looked like the dryer sheet. And it was just, the 1/2 inch thick, where Dad always just kind of took it out, slapped a new one in, and furnace filters changed. And now we've got these more gigantic ones that are 4 inches thick. Some I think are maybe a little bit larger. So what do we do when we try to find the furnace filter? I mean, where do we look first?
Understanding your furnace appliance and kind of generally how it works. It brings in air from parts of your house. It'll go through a filter, go through a blower that blows it over a heating element. The heat transfers into the air, and then it gets pushed back through ducts into the other registers in your house, the ones where you can feel the heat coming out of. So understanding the air coming into the furnace usually comes in the bottom, and the filter is going to be on the portion of the ductwork coming into the furnace. So you want to filter it before it gets to the blower,
Makes sense.
where you can pull out, pet dander and dust and stuff like that, contaminants before it clogs up your blower.
Okay.
So we always suggest that you get a professional in at least once, if not twice a year between your heating and cooling seasons to check over your equipment. And most of the time they'll help you change a filter, but really filters need to be changed about every 3 months or so, especially, these times of the year where you're in your house so much, you're just producing a lot of dirt and dander and nasty junk.
And it doesn't help when we have a cat running around the house yet too. So we have one. So we've got the fox. She's a cute little black cat.
Which is why I mostly wear black clothing.
Yep. So when we're looking for the furnace filter, so they've got the HEPA filters, they've got different levels of as far as air cleaning quality, or is it just like a straight furnace filter is a furnace filter?
You have choices.
We have choices. So
Of course, you always have choices. Too many choices. The HEPA is high efficiency particulate air. It's a very thickly woven sort of filter media. Then you have filter media that's less dense, less thickly woven. And if you see numbers on the side of a filter as far as MERV, it's very popular, or like 3M has their own section that it's like the 600 versus the 1200. So the bigger numbers are always, it's going to be more effective at catching particles. The thing to understand is the size of your filter, first of all, because you don't want to get a filter that's 24 inches when your system can only handle a 16-inch filter. That's just the wrong size. And it's usually printed on the side of the filter. So finding your filter and then taking it out, that's a good start. A lot of times, replacing with what you have is a good idea, but sometimes you can do better. So the higher number is how much more filtration the filter can handle. Okay, how much more stuff it pulls out of the air.
so here's a question.
Yeah,
So if okay, so we're gonna take our furnace as an example.
right.
So let's do it's a typical standard filter.
Okay, so usually it'll be a 1-inch thick filter.
Okay. So I want to filter it really well. So I go and I get like a high efficiency filter and I put it in there. Is that gonna like damage the furnace? I mean, can you get too much of a filter that is not gonna it's not gonna be good for the furnace at all because it's not really the furnace is not meant to have that type of filter in it.
One of the biggest problems is that if you get a very, very high efficiency filter, as far as it'll pull everything out of the air that you can think of, then it'll get clogged really fast. I just did some research and found a YouTuber called Project Farm, and he went through different types of filter and different filter media, but also how the filter is constructed. So what he found is that even with a 1-inch filter, if you have one with a whole lot of pleats, like uh, some filters you see only have 10 pleats and others have 50 pleats. If you have more pleats, and there's more of the general valley for the junk to get caught in, and more area for it to spool around and divert the air so the air still keeps flowing and it doesn't get clogged quite as fast.
Okay.
So the more pleats also means that there's more media, there's more filter paper in there. And that way you've got more filtered clog before it actually suffocates the furnace. Now, our furnace has a 4-inch. So with our 4-inch filter, it's just the right. I think I went with the MERV 7, so middle of the road. They'll still pull out a lot of allergens and particulates, but it's not going to get clogged very easily. So also with the deep filter, we've got a lot of pleats and they're deep pleats, and so it'll help the furnace keep running very efficiently. I think that's really important here, especially with I mean, this last couple of weeks were just wicked cold. And to have your furnace running and breathing well, that'll keep it running so it's not going to give out on you when you most need it.
Mhm. And even changing the filter even once a month is not really going to hurt it. What's going to hurt the furnace if you only change it once a year?
Exactly. Yep. It'll get too clogged too quick.
So it's kind of like changing the oil in your car. So when your car gets an oil change, you need to be changing the filter in the furnace, right?
Yeah, about every 3 months or 3,000 miles.
There you go.
Although with the new synthetic oils, you can push that out a little bit longer.
Oh, yeah.
That's a topic for another day.
But just remember, change the oil, change the furnace filter.
And then some quick safety tips here when it gets really bitter cold. Keep an eye on your furnace. If something starts sounding really weird, get it maintenanced. Call the professionals right away.
Well, we also run into deep snow. We had this happen to us at the last house. You know, the snowbank in the backyard got it drifted.
It was drifty.
It was drifty. It was the west side of the house, so it drifted right on into the house. So we had a snowbank that covered the intake valve.
Right, the intake and exhaust, the two
so
plastic pipes that were right next to each other on the outside of your house.
And the furnace would always cut off. It would try to start, but the safety features.
I only missed it once.
It turned itself off.
Right.
So 6 a.m., you're out there tromping through the 3-foot snowdrift and trying to dig out the furnace intake, so that way the furnace would run properly and we would have heat, because it would do an automatic shutdown.
So one thing to really realize is you're a homeowner and you need to take care of your house a little bit. There are some things that you need to keep an eye on. Well,
it's always really hard to talk about winter time concerns when it's 80 degrees outside and we do and this is how much snow you get to shovel. You know, here you go. So, well, we're wrapping up here at our first hour. We'll probably So we're wrapping up our first hour here. Stick with us after this commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Stay tuned and come back for hour 2 of My Rapids Real Estate Show, where we take a deep dive into central Wisconsin real estate market and more housing-related topics.